Thanks for listening to the AC Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, joined by the great William Brad Allis and the precocious Ben One White. All right, we have got a lot to get to on this show. There are some good things to take away. There's also some very frustrating things to take away. But, guys, I think we're going to start with the frustrating things first. And we're going to talk about the defense. The defense that gave up 39 points to, let's see here, well, a team that's not very good in New Mexico. My biggest concern is that Arizona was able to give up way too much in the passing game, and on top of that, I was not impressed at all by the ends. They were not able to hold containment. It was very frustrating, William Brad Allis. What say you with the Big A Bill Cap?
Yeah, the contain was bad, and it's interesting because my son just started playing defensive ends, so we spent a lot of time watching the ends tonight. I did notice, though, there's one caveat here. Dampier is super mobile. They're not going to face a lot of quarterbacks that mobile. There is a chance, and I don't want to say, don't worry at all, because there's plenty of other concerns. But early in the game, they were blitzing Manu off the side. He was usually blitzing off of the Smith side. Smith would shift inside. He'd go blitz in. And a lot of times, they over-pursued. Dampier would get outside of them, make plays. It reminded me a little bit of Mike Stoops' defense, which was usually pretty good. Not great, but good, except against two teams. Washington with Isaiah Stanback and New Mexico with their, I forget the mobile quarterback's name. That's why he wanted Matt Scott so bad, by the way, over Nick Foles, is because he can't defend that guy. So there is a chance that maybe it's a matchup thing. Now, that doesn't excuse the fact that they kind of
there was no contain whatsoever.
There was no contain, none, especially in the first half. They tackled poorly, and because they couldn't put enough pressure on the quarterback, the coverage broke down. Now, is that because the defensive backs aren't as good as we thought, or they just had to be on an island for 7 seconds? I'm not sure, but there is a chance. I don't want to say it's for sure that you get a more traditional drop back passer, and suddenly he's not getting outside of you. He's not able to do the little fake head fake, I'm going to throw the ball even though I'm 7 yards downfield move, and you might have a better defense. This isn't going to be a great defense. And frankly, it wasn't a great defense last year, but it was good enough last year. Remains to be seen whether they can be good enough this year, but it could have been slightly a matchup thing. And frankly, just I'm too excited to play football, and all of the ends are going to over-pursue. It could also be the defensive ends suck, and we're in big trouble.
Ben One White, what say you coming from the mean streets of Orange County?
Yeah, it could be a lot of things, right? I think week one is tough because, especially New Mexico, they come in, they have a week advantage over Arizona in the sense that they played a game earlier, right? But I think you have to remember too, this is a brand new coaching staff with a brand new scheme and a lot of guys in brand new places and positions that maybe we're not accustomed to. It's a completely different defense outside of really the DBs. Your defensive line, you got a lot of new guys. You got to figure that out. You got to rotate. And it just seemed like to me they weren't necessarily ready for the type of quarterback they saw in Dampier, right? I think obviously, he made a lot of plays. To Brad's point, on the outside, he's very mobile, but in terms of getting pass rush, you didn't really see much consistency there. And it was just concerning early on because New Mexico was kind of just able to move the ball at will, whether it was throwing to the outside or even at times running up the middle. They didn't have much of an issue. And I think that caught Arizona off guard. And I think as a result, especially there in that first half, it translated to both sides of the ball. And ultimately, Arizona was able to pull away in the second half. But it certainly wasn't easy by any means.
Yeah, and Brad, you and I were talking about this before we went on, and that's where really the cool stuff in the show comes on before we hit the scene. And the problem here is that Dampier was kind of able to do. By the way, Dampier, born in Tucson, by the way, but Dampier was kind of able to do what he wanted through the air and on the ground. I didn't know, and I'll be honest with you, I did not know that he was as mobile as he was. He was able to do a lot of different things, and we got to be honest here. Arizona was much better in the second half. We will give them that. But, man, they were not prepared for this UTEP offense, and the UTEP offense kind of took them to school.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I thought was interesting is last week I watched the fourth quarter of that game, and he seemed to have a weird delivery last week that he seemed to actually change this, and maybe it's because my view was a little higher, but he seemed to have a real high release, and he was sailing balls. He didn't sail many balls today. He was on target, 15, had a really good game. But again, Arizona's defense got much better in the second half. They gave up what, 2 scores, one kind of sort of in garbage time that was aided by a bonehead play by Tetairoa Davis. So again, I'm not ready to proclaim all is well in Wildcat land, but the first games are usually pretty weird, and it can go one way or another. We've seen decent Arizona teams struggle to put away NAU in the first game, and we've seen god-awful Arizona teams, and you accidentally mentioned them. Remember, Makovic beat UTEP 42-0 in the first game, and I don't think won again for a month. So you never know what you're going to get. That being said, there are some serious concerns, and I think you and I, Mike, over the summer talked about we didn't know what to expect from the defensive line. We knew they had some transfers coming in who on paper looked good, some guys with promise, but they're trying to gel a whole bunch of new guys, maybe a few guys kind of playing out of position. I couldn't see much. I know at one point they were talking about at least playing a Taitai Ugalele on the outside. I didn't see him much out there. It looked
but Brad, we got to cut through the BS though here, because here we're beacons of truth in an uncertain world. This is still New Mexico though. That's where I'm at.
No, it's New Mexico, but like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. It's all going to come down to the defensive line. If they can shore up the defensive line, if guys can play better, if they can step up the game over the next couple weeks, then I think that the back 7 is okay. If not, if you can't get a pass rush, if you can't keep them from running up the middle against better teams, if you can't contain quarterbacks, if you can't put pressure on the quarterback, this defense is not talented enough to overcome mediocre to below average defensive line play, which is frankly what they got for most of the night tonight.
Ben One White, I see you with thought bubbles coming up out of Ben One White.
Yeah, I think the problem is obviously the scheme. I think you have to keep that in mind as well, right? It's Akina, it's a new defensive coordinator. You've got new guys, but to Brad's point, right? I think how Arizona had a lot of success, especially late early on last season, is they really dominated the game at the line of scrimmage. And when you're playing teams like Kansas State and some of these other teams in the Big 12, if not only are you going to have no pass rush, but potentially even get pushed around at the line of scrimmage, it's going to be tough to win some of these games. I mean, the offense looks like a surefire thing. We'll get to it, obviously, putting up the points they did. T-Mac was insane. It was like watching a video game out there. But defensively, it needs to be bend, don't break. And
don't break. Get it?
Yes, exactly. And I think for the most part there, especially, a good 3.5 quarters of that game, and probably 3 quarters or so, it was break. And this team just needs to figure that out. It's week 1. But I mean, the good news is you're finding all this out early, right? And you have time to address it, whatever needs to be done, versus you play Kansas State in 2 weeks and get your butt kicked. Hopefully we're not in that situation.
Okay, Mr. Tyler Warden, the great Mr. Tyler Warden says, and what say you on this, William Brad Alice, where he says, we need to remember this is largely the same defense as last year. And I would disagree with that, not on the defensive line, but pretty much everywhere else. I don't want to overreact too much because we know what they can do. On the secondary, at the linebacker level, I agree. But at the defensive line level, William Brad Alice, this is a much different defense. No BBN, by the way.
No, what are the 2 guys back who played significant snaps last year? Maybe 3. I might be forgetting someone. Yeah,
so, it was Ty. It's basically Ty.
And what, Deuce Davis a little bit there.
Deuce Davis is not back.
No, he's not. Who's 11? He was out there a lot. I thought he was back from last year, but maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, no, it's a very revamped defensive line. You've got, Darton from Syracuse. You got, and again, I didn't see if he played tonight because I know he's been banged up. You got the Memphis kids. You got Chuba. You've got, the kid from Stanford. You got kids from all over the place. I mean, it's all a bunch of new dudes, a bunch of transfers, a couple young guys thrown in, JC guys. So it's a revamped defensive line. It's just a couple guys back, and then the rest of it's brand new. And, like I said, the ends did not contain well. They also didn't mount much of a pass rush. Ironically enough, maybe the best pass rush was the fumble that wasn't.
Were you surprised by that, Brad, that there wasn't much more of a pass rush?
No, because I didn't know what to expect. I've been saying I don't know what to expect from the front set, the front 6, because really, other than Manu too, it's a whole new linebacking core, kind of. I mean, so yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I thought they'd get a bigger push against maybe New Mexico, and again, part of me wonders, Do they play it differently because he's mobile? I don't know, but because it sure didn't seem like they played it different because they let him outside. And a lot of times when you pass rush differently with a mobile quarterback, you go more upfield, and it sure seemed like they were going right at him. So, yeah, it's a big concern, that D-line and the O-line too. I mean, it was iffy early. Now, they end up playing pretty well. I think they end up averaging almost 10 yards a carry, 8-9 yards of carry, 200-something yards. But early on, they couldn't establish the run, nor did they really try. There's a few times Fifita was pressured. But overall, to me, the biggest question mark going into next week is, and especially the Kansas State game in a couple weeks, is the defensive line, that front four primarily.
Okay, now there's a bunch of questions here about the punt returning game, which we definitely need to get to here in a second. But first, let's see here. The A-plus performance of the game, player of the game. We are going to go with Tetairoa McMillan. This is
real tough decision, but
this is brought to you by Neutral, by the way. We very much like Neutral. T-Mac. 10 catches, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. T-Mac is very good. And I'm going to put it on, hey guys, I'm going to put this out there for you. Besides T-Mac being very good, T-Mac, I believe, is leaving here as one of the 5 best players in U of A history. What say you guys?
Hard to argue.
Yep.
I mean, okay, and again, no one cares about my college football video game thing, but
I do care. I care very much.
I put up big numbers with T-Mac and Noah Fifita, and they always give the player of the game to T-Mac, even though Fifita throws for 4-something and 4 touchdowns. And again, it should be T-Mac, but the game always picks T-Mac over Fifita. Could have 700 yards if T-Mac has 250. They give it to T-Mac, and that could be a lot this year. T-Mac's going to get a lot of headlines. People are going to keep comparing him to Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter's great. To me, the bigger comparison. T-Mac. To me, the only guy I think's in the conversation is Burden from Missouri. But the thing about T-Mac, and you really see it live, is just that speed mixed with that size. It's just, Jamino says this a lot when you talk about the great Wildcats, like all of the guys we're going to put in the top 5 of the Mount Rushmore. They all look different.
Yeah.
Gronk just looked different. Chris McAllister just looked different. He says
Chuck Levy was the other one.
Yeah, I mean, the only guy who didn't look different, who played different, was really Teddy, because Teddy was just kind of, this dude with the mullet. But you looked at Gronk. Gronk just didn't look like all the other tight ends on the team or any of the other players.
Right.
And that's T-Mac. T-Mac is, there just aren't many human beings who are in that 6'4", 6'5" range who run like he does. And then you add in his ability to catch. And again, I know he had a couple catches overturned on the sideline that were pretty special too. He's just a special player. And, we can get into debates whether he's top 5, top 10. He's going to be, barring a shock, not only be a first-round guy, but one of the highest picks from Arizona and maybe in their history.
Ben One White, this is powered to you by Neutral Vodka Seltzer. You are a youngster, Ben One White. I can tell that you like Neutral. So, again, we figured that we would give you this segment as well, Ben One White. What say you about T-Mac? There are people out there that don't think T-Mac is that good. They are wrong.
Yeah, one of them was Jason Shear, right?
Yep, Jason Shear.
Yeah.
But either way, T-Mac, joking aside, T-Mac's crazy. I mean, you watch T-Mac for like 5 seconds, you're like, oh, whoa. There's never been anybody like here. Even my guy, Kelvin Yvonne, who, and with one thing we know about Kelvin is very loyal to his people. Kelvin, until this game, said he still liked Dennis Northcutt. I said he was wrong. But Kelvin messaged me, and he's like, yeah, it's T-Mac. Yeah, it is. And again, Kelvin's forgot more football than I know. But again, T-Mac is something we've never seen before at the U of A, and Erica L. Day sees this as well.
Yeah, it's not close. I mean, he's different. He's a freak, and I think obviously when you look at the way he's built, but to me the biggest thing is obviously the speed is huge, but just the catches and the radius and everything that you get with him. I mean, there's not a ball that the guy can't catch, and I think tonight, obviously, the way that things were going, I think we got to a point there, was it late in the third quarter, where like he was averaging like 32 yards per catch, something like that.
Right.
So it's not like they were just finding T-Mac, under the field in a short crossing route or anything like that. These were big explosive plays. And I think it goes back to the thought you had earlier with the run game. Everybody said, well, Arizona should be running the ball more. They should do a better job of establishing the run. I agree with that to a certain extent, and they certainly can't play like that against better competition. But come on, when New Mexico is leaving the T-Mac as wide open as they did the majority of the game, which I didn't understand,
yes,
you got to take that shot. And I think every time Fifita had time in the pocket, and the offensive line did a good job of giving him that time, but you give him 4, 5, 6 seconds, it seemed like every other play, the guy was just wide open down the field, and it was a 30, 40-yard game every single time. And that's what really helped Arizona pull away in this one.
Yeah,
and don't forget they missed him on a what would have been a 60-yard touchdown
because Noah got the
play where Noah Fifita ran for the first down. T-Mac got behind his guy. How you lose T-Mac? He was 20 yards in the end zone. I think he was eating a hot dog at one point. I've never seen, except for the one where he scored earlier.
Unreal.
It was crazy.
Can we talk about that? Because there's two things in this game that very much confused me, and I get confused about most things in life, but this really confused me. First of all, well, we'll get to Arizona's lack of any form of press coverage, but you have Tetairoa McMillan, who, by the way, I got all of the clips. They had no clue how to pronounce his name. It was absolutely embarrassing. It was like me trying to pronounce Ben One White's name, except I'm putting Jim L. White or something. It was terrible. That's a terrible comparison. But either way, I did not understand, though, what they were doing with T-Mac, because it was almost like, well, we'll let T-Mac beat us, and then everybody else, T-Mac will beat you then.
Yeah, you give up 300-yard passing day would have been really nice for Noah Fifita, and that's what he had just to T-Mac.
Right.
It was a weird game, but again, he got behind him on that first touchdown. What do you have, a 20-yard cushion? And there was no safety help. And then again, that would have happened again if Fifita had been able to see him. And again, Fifita was running for his life. I think his eyes was on the marker, not downfield. He might have been too far downfield for Noah to see. So it's hard to argue when you get the first down. But that was another like 60 yards he could have had. Then you took out, a 40-yard gain on the one on the sideline that I still didn't see a good replay of in the stadium. I'm assuming the ball hit the turf as he was falling out of bounds. But that's another 100 yards and a touchdown. That
was a total Des Bryant situation right there. I mean, he had the
good
catch.
Comparison.
Yeah, he had the catch, but you could argue the control going down, but again, right.
We're going to try to keep it a little bit optimistic here, but again, we're going to have to be pessimistic here. But if we're trying to keep it optimistic, there are two things, though, that we do have to discuss here. And a big part of the optimism is Circle K. Let's be honest here. Brad Allis, when was the last time you went to Circle K?
Thursday.
Okay, Thursday. Now, Ben One White, you are coming from us live from the hills of Calabasas. I'm sure there were many Circle Ks there. When was the last time you went to Circle K?
Probably last week.
Okay. All right. Either way, everybody likes Circle K. Everybody likes Circle K. I like Circle K. But you know what we like even more than that? Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Hey, you guys are going to like this. Guess what I got at Circle K? I got very cheap gas today, the other day, 40 cents off. It was $2.87. Ben One White, I bet you wish you got that kind of gas.
You know it. You paid $3.89 the other day.
Either way, you did it. And Brad Allis probably got cheap gas as well. Also, that we need to talk about besides Circle K, branded bills, my friend. I get many people that complain about the bill on my cap. I do not care what they have to say. As Ben One White can tell you and attest, if somebody tells me they do not like something about me, I will go the other way. I will say, screw you. I will try to be even more annoying. Branded Bills says, Mike Luke, let us help you out and be more annoying. Head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first purchase. Again, here's the great deal. Elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. They have partnerships with ASU, U of A as part of their campus collection. Brad Allis, you strike me as somebody that would be very good with Branded Bills.
I'm going to go check it out right after because I need a new hat. This one's a little beat up, a little sweaty.
Benwood White, you're a man of style. You're a man of substance. You're a man of hold on, I'll just repeat it again. Check out Brandon Bills, my friend. You will
It
do
is
this.
midnight.
So if you were your Brandon Bill, do the bangs still hang out? I think we had some people complaining about that on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna. No, I will not change. I will not do this. I will continue to have my hair outside of my hat. I do not care. Either way, check it out. Brandon Bills, premium headwear and apparel. Save 20% with code PHNX. Okay, now. We're going to stay on some really good things, and then we're going to get to some bad things as well. All right, the offense. The running game, I have no concern about. I very much like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I think he merits a very nice mention. I like Quali Conley. That looks to me to be the 1-2 punch that they are going to go with. I think both those guys are superb. I'm more than okay with both of them.
Yeah, I mean, what they finished with, and it took them a while to get going. But one was 8-point. Krosky-Merritt was 8.2 a carry, and Conley was 9 yards a carry. They combined for just under 200 yards. So yeah, not bad there. Like to see him get going early on. I think a lot of that was the line kind of finding their rhythm. Obviously, they were, they lost Rhino for a bit. I know Leif didn't start, but he came in middle of the game. So I think again, starting to find that rhythm. But when you can, average nearly 10 yards a carry between your two primary backs, it's hard to argue. And again, big play set that up. It wasn't like 5, 5, 7, 12. It was 50, 0, 45, 0, But
it's like the Barry Sanders runs.
Yeah, but it was a good job. And again, big playability. So yes, again, I liked what I saw. Again, I wish they were a little more consistent. But frankly, if the strategy is going to be passed to set up the run when you have T-Mac, when you have Noah Fifita, I'm fine with that.
Right. Benwood White, I see you disagreeing.
Not at all. I think it works really well. I think, going into the season, we talked about how the fact that Arizona maybe has too many running backs, but that's not really a position where you can have too many guys. I think Merritt's solid. Obviously, he's going to be the best back on this team. Conley's going to be consistent. Speedy Luke came in, had a tough day.
We need more fam. I know he had a fumble. I don't care.
Did a good job. Did a great job, and then right after that has the fumble, and they pull him out. So hopefully he can get back in there. But I think they've got a nice combination of guys who can do different things. Speedy Luke obviously has the speed, the ability to get the outside. Krosky-Merritt's more of your downhill type guy. Conley.
Do you think he merits running downhill, Ben White?
I think so, yeah. And I think every time he gets a first down, it merits a mention, as you said earlier. So, No, Arizona's in a good spot with their running game. I'd like to see them be more consistent. I would be shocked, though, going into next week when you play a team like NAU if you don't try to get that established early on. I mean, that's really a game where Arizona just needs to go off and have 350, 400 yards on the ground. And Noah Fifita really only needs to be throwing that ball, 15, 17 times. I'd like to see that because when come Big 12 time, right, when you're playing better teams, you're going to have a well-established run game. And I think Arizona can have that, but you saw that later in the game, but it wasn't as consistent as we wanted it to be. So,
all right, guys, we got to tell you something about else. Now, a lot of people are like, Jacob Franklin, that guy does not care about Arizona. You are correct, but we do like Jacob Franklin. But Kevin Thomas, behind the scenes, we very much like Kevin Thomas, a very, very good person. Kevin Thomas just messaged me knowing that I'm an idiot, and he said, hey, Mike, you got 3 more segments we need to take care of, and he is right. I say we go by the numbers here. Desert Financial Credit Union, presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes. Check it out. All right. This is what these numbers show. Possession time, 35 minutes to 25 minutes. Arizona had far more yards, though. That does worry me, though, fellas, that 35 minutes. This is presented by Desert Financial Credit Union. I say we cannot have that.
I don't think you can read anything into it.
I don't like it.
How many plays did Arizona run?
I don't know. It's not in the by the numbers. I don't know.
I think it's if I'm counting it correctly,
they ran 57 and New Mexico ran 80.
Okay, yeah. So because I've got them with 19, 30, 57. 57 plays is not many. To get 600 yards on 57, it tells you it was big plays. So again, I have a lot of red flags in this game. but I think it was a weird game. It's way too early to proclaim anything. Again, could the defensive line and just the defense be absolute garbage? Yes. Could it be a factor that you were getting big play after big play? They were out there a lot. You're getting used to schemes. You have a kind of an interesting quarterback who a lot of teams in the Big 12 don't duplicate. It could be. So, again, Arizona only ran 50-something plays in a game where they got 600 yards. That just shows you I'll go back. When Arizona hired Sonny Dykes to be the offensive coordinator, Shu had this question: are we going to regret scoring too fast? And tonight, that was part of it. The defense was on the field a lot because the offense was scoring a lot. They also couldn't get stops, and they couldn't tackle, and that was part of it too. So I think it's a mixed bag. But is it something to put a pin on, to worry about? Yes. Are we going to proclaim that Arizona is going to lose the time of possession battle every game? No, because most teams aren't going to let T-Mac have all these big plays and let the running backs go crazy. Arizona's going to probably have far more 60 to 70 play games than they are 50-something play games.
All right. We'll keep this with the by the numbers. Ben White, you're probably listening to the transistor radio under the tunnel in the Calabasas, underpass. But I do not understand this because I had over 5 people tell me this. Why are the commentators calling him Tet McMillan and Quail Conley? This is not difficult. I had 4 different people send me saying Quail Conley. His name is Quali. It is not Quail. Why is this so difficult? This is by the numbers, by the way.
I don't know. I mean, if you watched Rod Gilmore, I mean, that's pretty much his MO. It was Quail Conley, like the bird, and Quail Conley, not from San Jose State, Quali Conley, but Quail Conley from New Mexico last year. And I think the best part was when they went on tangents, especially there in the second half when Arizona was up by like 2-3 touchdowns at this point. He kept talking about how, man, Bronco Mendenhall's got to be sitting there shaking his head thinking this was our starting running back last year and we let him get away. No, the guy was never there. He never played in New Mexico. He's probably never been to the state of New Mexico. So, yeah, that was certainly the biggest announcer error of the night. So a lot of fun stuff tonight on the TV.
That is your by the numbers right there. Thank you very much. The prodigious Kevin Thomas behind the scenes. All right. Now, we're going to get back to the defense here in a second, but I do want to say Noah Fifita. I am more than okay with anything from Noah Fifita. I think Noah Fifita is leaving here as the best quarterback in school history. I don't even think it's going to be close. I think he's that dude. You watch him, unless he's not something very, very much was screwed up along the way. What say you, William Brad Alice? I see you agreeing with me.
He's definitely going to have the best numbers of all time. I think you can debate, maybe it was Nick Foles who's more talented, but Stoops being oddly conservative. But no, he's going to go down with the best numbers in school history. And unfortunately, part of his legacy may be tarnished because I don't know if he plays in the NFL with his size. I'd like to see him get a shot. But people count. Look who got inducted in the Hall of Fame tonight, and it wasn't because of his Arizona career. Andre Iguodala got inducted in the Arizona Hall of Fame. And my wife is like, I'm like, he's not a Hall of Famer, not from his college career. I'm like, he averaged 11 points a game his best season.
He does have the most triple doubles in school history, though.
Okay, and he was a cancer that ruined that team. And
I get it.
He averaged like 9 points a game in 2 years. But he was a great pro. And people will forget that. I mean, people don't talk about Willie Tuitama much anymore. Why?
Although isn't Josh Green in the Hall of Fame, though, too?
No, he's in the
Ring of Honor or whatever.
Yeah, that's different. But I'm just saying, we put a lot of stock in pro career. And as good as, and again, Nick Foles was fantastic. But was he that much better than Willie Tuitama?
Yes.
Okay. But, yeah, I think he was better, but I don't know if he's that better. But
he was a third-round pick.
Yeah. Willie Tuitama was slow and short. But that's the whole thing.
So was Nick Foles.
Okay, but the point is, but Nick Foles was 6'5" and way too dumb. But I'm saying that's the whole point. We put a lot of stock. You just said he's a third-round pick, but we put it in pro stock. Noah Fifita may not get drafted. He still may be the best quarterback in school history, but I think to the outsiders, to people who are the casual fan who tell you what a great college career Andre Iguodala had, they're going to forget, maybe forget Noah Fifita a little bit because of his lack of pro career. And maybe I'm wrong. And as a guy who's favorite quarterback of all time is Doug Flutie. I hope Noah Fifita is a 12-year NFL vet and paves the way for more guys.
I thought your favorite quarterback would be the reincarnate of Pat Mahomes, a.k.a. Dylan Raiola from earlier today.
That's funny looking, man. They are so close in appearance.
Yeah. Eric L. Day is messaging. Buzz off.
I just wanted to hop in because you mentioned Dylan Raiola, and it was almost weird. It was like he wanted to be someone he isn't, you know. But I also thought someone else in the comment section, Dirty Dancer, had it perfect when they said that having your jersey in the stands is more for recruiting than anything. Because like you said, Brad, I mean, what have certain players done at the school? It's more about what they do after they leave the school. How big of a brand can they build for the school? And how much bragging rights is it that you get to say, oh, Iguodala is an alum of the U of A?
Yeah, and he's an Olympian. He's a world champion. He was about as good as Josh Green at Arizona. Oh, he's a little better than Josh Green.
He's better than Josh Green.
But the fact is, he wasn't a starter as a freshman. People forget that. Again, great. Talk about really good play. There's some really good basketball players who didn't make it in the NBA, and we don't talk about them enough anymore. And then there's guys like Andre who were just good at U of A, but had great pro careers. And we talk about them, and people will tell you they're their favorite Wildcat of all time. And I'm like, you didn't watch Wildcat basketball when he was here. That's all I can say.
All right, Ben.
That being said, Noah Fifita might be the best quarterback in school history, and if he keeps this up, he will be. Yes.
What say you, Ben? I see you disagreeing with William Brett Allis.
Well, statistically, I mean, he's on point to be the best quarterback. I think, will he be the most memorable or impactful? I think that's the more interesting conversation. Depending on what Arizona does this year, right? If they win 11, 12 games and they make a college football playoff spot and somehow contend, or a very, very high-end bowl game, then yeah, you can make that conversation. In terms of pros, you look across the NFL, obviously there's only 32 teams, but
I think Noah Fifita is going to play in the NFL. I do not care what anybody says. And again, I know he's 5'7", but you know what? Barriers are meant to be broken, and there's no reason.
Let me get there. Yep, exactly. There's 32 teams, but there is also a lot of spots for quarterbacks, and it is very hard to find a good backup quarterback. And there's something to be said about a guy who reads the field well, gets the ball out quickly, has a good arm, and doesn't make mistakes. He checks all of those boxes off. He plays well. He moves the ball down the field. And if somebody to the size of, Kyler Murray or even Russell Wilson, I get maybe they're a little bit bigger than him. But if somebody to that stature and that size can make it in the NFL, I don't see why Fifita can't at least sniff a shot at it.
And let's be honest here, there's a lot of poop quarterbacks in the NFL. A lot of poop quarterbacks. Nathan Peterman is in the NFL. Nathan Peterman, now, just so you guys know, threw his first 5 passes, I believe, were pick sixes back then.
Well, he actually got cut last week, but yes, he has been in the NFL this whole time.
For a long time. But that's my point, though. Bad quarterbacks get in the NFL. Look at William Brett Allis.
But also, guys who are really good in college, there are a lot of guys who were great in college who don't get a sniff in the NFL
but do like Kellen Olsen, or not Kellen Olsen? Who is the guy from
Kellen Moore?
Yeah, that guy sucked. Come on, and he got
Noodle
into
arm.
the NFL. Yeah, Chase Daniel. I am taller than Chase Daniel, the human fire hydrant. But he was in the NFL, and he made almost $34 million. Either way, all you guys are wrong. Noah's going to play in the NFL. All right. I have really no concerns about the offense, though. I'm fine with it. Again, one thing, though, that we do need, I think, really kind of put to a rest here is, as somebody on the radio would say, Lemonious-Craig. Listen, I mean, it's cool. I know everybody likes, you want him to be good. Brad, this is the epitome of Anthony Johnson, where we're always going to hear about it, and it's never going to come to fruition. What say you?
Well, my big fear is they threw 14 passes to wide receivers tonight.
Yeah.
And 10 of them went to
one guy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Though.
So we're not, again, they spread the ball out better than they did under the last coach, but they still didn't spread the ball out. Now, we did have a tight end sighting. It was really nice.
Kean Burnett, 1 for 27.
Yeah. They mixed the ball around a little bit, got some running backs. But again, they only threw 31 passes and only completed 19. So it's hard to say. But yes, I'd still like to see the ball mixed up a little bit. And again, one of them should have been caught. It was tipped. It was a pick. My son had the best line. He's like, "Look, it's Kadarius Toney."
Oh, that's messed up. That's messed up. That's mean.
That's
By the way,
good.
But so I'm hoping we'll see the ball spread around more because we didn't under good old Jed. But again, when you're single coveraging T-Mac with not even like bracket coverage, there was no safety help. Why would you throw to anyone else?
all right, Ben White. Before we get back to some other stuff, we will get a shout out to TJ McConnell. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Now, you all know about the wave, the cool wave. Yes, Ben Bradley, let me see you do the wave. Come on. All right. Now, when you're like Ben White and you're traveling throughout the continent and you're seeing the Gila River Resorts and Casinos, you're probably thinking to yourself, whoa, that must be cool to live like Ben White. You are correct. Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. All kinds of really good stuff. Fun and immersive experience. Now. Brad Alice, you strike me as having no luck on the slot machines. This is correct.
In slots, no. Video poker have done okay in the past.
Ben White, you strike me as having very good luck on the slots.
Sometimes, yes. Typically at the table, and the real stuff, no, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Either way, be like Ben White and go all in with 45, 100 slots and live tables at the Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Check it out. All kinds of really, really good stuff. And game time. Listen, maybe you're like William Brad Alice and you're like, man, I want to go to a really crappy rock concert next week, but I don't know where to find tickets. And Game Time says, Brad Alice, give me your money from running the town of Marana or whatever you do. You run the town of Marana, right? Or the town of Tucson? It's something like that.
The mayor of Marana.
You do something.
I work for the Pima Association of Governments. We do transportation stuff here in the county.
Well, either way, very important stuff, though, and all kinds of really good stuff. Check it out, though. Here's the deal. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time app. What time is it? Game Time. Ooh. Ben, do you know what that's from?
I should. You've done it before.
Yeah, no, it's a Michael Jordan. It's the Chicago Bulls entry and everything. It's very, very good. Okay, now, let's get back to the defense here. Dwayne Aquino, very much known as being a cornerback whisperer. What was the strategy today about just laying off and playing very soft coverage? I did not understand that. Guys, tell me what I'm missing.
It could just, I don't know. We've been talking about this for years. So I think the only thing we talk about more is the using of the tight end. Arizona never does press coverage, or rarely. I remember that, Stoops hated it. A lot of guys just don't like it. I don't know if he doesn't think his guys are physical enough, if he thinks they're going to get burned. Again, the bigger issue to me is you don't need press coverage if you can put a pass rush on, because then you're covering. But yeah, if you can't get that pass rush, you might have to start with the press coverage.
Ben, what say you? Well, I did not like what I saw.
Well, it's weird because obviously they didn't do much of that, but then you would think, okay, if you're going to back off and play a soft man or even play zone at times, you would think they would have the edges of the field contained, given the fact that their quarterback is very mobile and can move to the outside. And every time they were throwing the ball, it seemed like a 3-7-yard pass to the outside, easy yards for New Mexico. But it didn't seem like either of that was happening. I think the whole unit just looked lost as a whole, outside of Stukes and some of the other guys in the secondary who are more established and have been here and made plays. But that defensive line was very, very unimpressive. I mean,
yeah, OC Bodybuilder says not sold on Aquino play calling. Now, I'm going to ask you this, William Brad Alice. And again, I am not going to be a hypocrite. I am a hypocrite on many things, but I will not be a hypocrite on this. I like the hire. I still like the hire. But do you worry that Dwayne Aquino has not called defensive plays ever before?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do, but I think it's more it's execution. It's teaching these guys how to contain, teaching these guys figuring out ways to rush the passer, mixing in blitzes. They abandoned the blitz for much of it, and I think that's going to be something Arizona's going to have to do to create pressure. Because again, I don't think they have just enough big time rush ends. I just don't. So you're going to have to, and are you going to do a whole lot of fancy, fun, crazy blitzes against New Mexico? No. You're not going to bring safeties. You're not going to bring corners. You're not going to do weird stunts, things like that. It was pretty vanilla defense. And unfortunately, Devin Dampier loves vanilla because he ate him up.
Right. Okay. Wow. Actually.
I make the pun. I don't get any reaction from Mike.
Right. No, no, because again, the only person that gets to make bad puns is me, William Brad Alice. You're better than me.
I'm a dad. I make bad jokes all the time. My daughter's nodding in agreement right now.
Yeah. No. Well, I agree with you. But Kobe L. Thiel says Smith was horrible at containing the edge. That was really, really noticeable. And again, I was a little confused by that one because again, coming from San Jose State, I realize that San Jose State is not, Alabama, but at the same time, this is a guy that put up a lot of, pretty good numbers, pretty scrumptious numbers at San Jose State. And it looked like he had never played football before. He was terrible.
No, they lined him up slightly inside a lot. Head over, like instead of wide, they lined him up real close to that tackle. And it looked like he didn't. And again, some of it was to bring Manu off the edge. But Manu didn't contain either when he came off the edge. So, yeah, I don't know if it was a technique thing, scheme thing. Maybe he's just, a guy who's used to pinning back the ears and rushing the passer. I didn't see enough of his highlights, in which case he's got to do a better job of that. But yeah, he was kind of rough on that end. And again, Manu was not very good containing the edge either. Again, Manu's usually more of a middle inside linebacker type thing, but he was playing on the edge quite a bit. They walked him up to the line to blitz, and it just wasn't good that whole side of the field.
Okay, now it is now time for another branded segment here. This is the Tip of the Cap X Factor by Branded Bills. Again, Branded Bills, very cool. And now, Tip of the Cap, again, brought to you by Branded Bills. Elevate your brand like Ben One White with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Tip of the Cap, Wildcats. Okay, the X Factor. Can we just say it's T-Mac?
Is he an X Factor or is he just the man and do you need another X Factor? But yeah, he was fantastic. He was the difference in this game.
I'm going to go T-Mac. You know what? When in doubt, just go T-Mac. Ben One White, I see you disagreeing vehemently.
You play this segment like Noah plays football. Just when in doubt, go to T-Mac.
Yeah, go to T-Mac, right?
He's down there somewhere.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought, but if they don't have T-Mac, I don't know if they win this game, Mike.
Ooh, wow. You're saying that T-Mac was good, is basically good for 22
when you put up
points.
When you put up 4 touchdowns and 304 yards, and it's a 21 point. Yeah.
Is T-Mac going to catch for 2,000 yards this year?
Depends what he does next week against
I was gonna say no, but when you start off with 300, or whatever it was, that's a good jump start. No, I mean, but is 15, 18 in play? Probably.
Yeah, it's going to be something around in there.
18, maybe 19.
Because here's the thing. He's just too big. Here's the thing. You're getting Smurfs like me trying to cover him. That is not going to work. And if you stand next to him, he is massive. He is a huge individual. And, he's good.
Well, how many games are they playing, too? That's the other key.
Oh, I'm still bullish. There's a lot of people jumping off the wagon. I will remember all of you. I am a big fan of him. I am going to say that he is do not worry about him. This is the tip of the hat. Branded Bills. Either way, Ben One White, you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Now, let's see. Now, FF Dopester, very good point. Where the heck was Jeremiah Patterson? Yes, I agree. Where was Jeremiah Patterson?
Dropping passes for an interception.
Yes, exactly. That was going to be Jeremiah Patterson has to be better. We were expecting a lot of Jeremiah Patterson, and nothing. Like you said,
all the receivers outside of T-Mac were bad. I mean, Burnett had that one big play, but everybody else was pretty bad. Patterson,
did Murphy play?
Riley didn't play nearly enough. Murphy didn't have any action.
Yeah. I mean, Montana was going to be Montana.
You know what? He's right. It was Hyatt, not Patterson with the drop. Yeah, I knew it was one of the newer guys. But either way, the other receivers had 4 catches.
By the way, I like David Stith's comment. He says, I'd like to see a game where every play is no to T-Mac. I'm not opposed to this.
Well,
it works. It works.
There may be drives like that. Well, there were. It was a 1-play drive, but no, you're going to see drives like that where if teams, it'll be interesting how, and again, it's NAU, so maybe, but how teams come out now. Does that open things up for other guys, or is just T-Mac going to be just too dominant, and why look for other guys when you have T-Mac?
Oh, look at Shane Diefenbach talking crap in here. Here's the thing about Shane Diefenbach, the great Shane Diefenbach. We're trying to get Shane Diefenbach's cousin to the U of A, and all he is doing is giving us crap. We do not like this, Shane Diefenbach, but I understand what you're doing. Okay, now, the running game, though. I was more than okay with the running game. I think between Quayle
Egg Conley.
Dude, by the way, yes, Kilroy, don't worry. Between Quayle Conley and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, I am more than okay with that. Yes, this running game is going to be just fine, just like Shane Diefenbach is a fine man. Go ahead, Brad Ellis.
No, yeah, it took them a while to get going, but it wasn't so much that they weren't running well. They just weren't running. And again, this is going to be a team, and it's going to be like a lot of NFL offenses. Ironically enough, now the NFL guys up in smelly, rainy, whatever we call it, Seattle.
Smelly, rainy Seattle.
But most NFL teams pass to set up the run now. There are exceptions, your Baltimores and things like that. But that's what I think this team is going to be. You're going to come out throwing, run a couple, and then you can start running the ball more because teams are dropping extra guys back. They're pulling guys off the line. They're bringing in extra DBs. They're trying to figure out how new and inventive ways to apparently single cover the best wide receiver in the country. And that opened up the running game. Again, they just didn't run much. They have like 3 carries in the first quarter, I think.
Right.
And the first one I think went for 7, but then you had that 21-yard run or whatever. And it eventually came. And again, they averaged about 10 yards a carry. But, if you can throw 30 times for whatever it was, 400 something yards, then I'm fine running 15 to 20 times.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Robbie Don says Caden Luke needs a scholarship ASAP. FAM 2.0. We are a big fan of FAM 2.0 on this show. This is one of the largest people you'll ever see. He's a very large man. We like FAM. Caden Luke, what say you guys on Caden Luke?
He looked good opening up the hole in that play. Obviously, if you're playing as a true freshman when you're a preferred walk-on, you're probably not going to be scholarship lists for long, especially in this new where you can offer more. So I'd be shocked if he doesn't get one sooner rather than later. The only way I think I don't know. I don't even know. They keep changing the rules. Was he a blue shirt? Were one of those where he couldn't take the official visit?
I don't know what all that.
In which case you have to wait till like the end of the first quarter. Yeah. I'll be shocked if by the end of the year he doesn't have a scholarship.
Ben, what say you?
I would be very surprised. I think in terms of the run game, New Mexico, you watched them last week and they just gave up yards after yards and carries after carries. I think Arizona's plan was to go in and just run the ball. But I think once they got out there and they realized just how much of a hole there was on the defensive end for Mexico when it comes to covering T-Mac, I think the plan just changed, right? The DB was getting burned, it seemed like every other play. I think the first or second touchdown, I think both of them, as a matter of fact, the DB even just fell down trying to battle T-Mac one-on-one. So I think Arizona was able to exploit that. They recognized it, and they got a little bit too carried away with it. But again, when you look at the scoreboard and you look at the production that T-Mac ended up with, it's hard to argue against their plan. But I think Arizona's fine. I think they'll be able to run the ball, no problems, every single game. I think you're going to see, 3-figure rushing games collectively each game for the most part. I'm not really too concerned about it.
They put 61 on them. New Mexico's not good, but that was 61 yards and 600 or 61.600 yards. And I know they gave up 30 something last week to Montana State, but we've seen Arizona with NAU coming to town the first game. and squeaking out 31-17 wins or losing like they did a couple years ago. And the fact is Arizona came in and dropped 61. And while the defense was bad at times to mediocre at the best of times, the offense was when did they finally punt? Second half?
Second half.
Fourth quarter, yeah.
Quarter. They had a weird turnover, and other than that, yeah, they were pretty good. I mean, they were very good. So anyone nitpicking the offense, you're silly. Anyone nitpicking the defense, I agree with you.
Yes. All right. Now it is also time for the drive of the game, brought to you by Sanderson Ford. Check it out. All right, Ben White, you're in the market for a new truck, a new girthy truck. This is true, Ben White.
Well, if it's Sanderson Ford, always. Yep.
Yes, exactly. Now, be like the great Ben White and get 0% for 36 months OAC from Ford Credit. See dealer for details. The drive of the game. I am going to go the first drive of the second half as my drive of the game. I thought that was where they had to be able to push the ball downfield, and they did exactly that. What say you guys?
Yeah, I agree with you. I was chatting with my son, and I'm like, look, here's what they needed. He's like, it's a little close, Dad. I said, if they go down, they score the first one, the second half, then they can get the ball back and go up 3 scores. They're in fine shape, and that's what they did.
All right, Ben White, what say you?
I would agree. I love the 51-yard run from Conley there to start the second half. So for that touchdown.
That is where I'm at. All right, now. Here's where I'm at with this. The offense, I have no concerns about. Again, I don't know what the deal with Rhino is. We will find that out. The defense, the defensive line, I have major concerns about. We're going to have to address that. What say you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. There were red flags all over the place. Again, before you shine up the panic button, but remember, and someone said it astutely on the side here, and I apologize, I didn't see who it was. This is a team that is with a first-time new defensive coordinator. I know he was on the staff last year. They have an all-new defensive staff. And basically, especially up front, they're all new on defense. I mean, how many transfers are on the defensive side of the ball? Something like 7 of their top linemen are transfers. You got a couple transfers in the backfield. You've got guys playing their first extended play. In Groves.
Yeah, I count 11 guys on the 2 deep, Brad, for the defense. So
yeah, so
it's a lot.
Can they get better? Absolutely. Will they? I have no freaking idea, and that's scary. Because if they play like they did tonight against Kansas State in a couple weeks, Kansas State's going to score the 61 with 600 yards.
Oh, we got a super snap. On our way back to Phoenix after the game, going to stop at McDonald's in Marana. Can Brad, the mayor ruler of Marana, get us a discount? Brad, you are a very important person. You helped Shelby Shearer get a job. This is true.
That I did. I pointed her in that direction, and I still know a lot of people in the local government. Maybe if you mention Mayor Honey's name, they'll give you a discount, although I don't think he's a big Marana or McDonald's guy. I know he loves that McDonald's, but yeah, drop the mayor's name.
Okay.
Tell Matt Honey sent you.
And if that doesn't work, drop Mike Luke's name.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Totri, this putz. We've Totri, boo, get out of here. This is all crap. No. All right. Unlike Totri, we're actually good. You are not good. We have high expectations around here.
Hey, Mike, did you tell your listeners, and I don't know if they care. I care because I think it's funny, about our encounter last weekend?
Oh, at El Conquistador.
At El Conquistador.
Oh, I was there with the
fancy.
I was there with the missus, and William Brad Alice was there as well.
So someone said, hey, I think I saw Mike Luke. And I'm like, oh, he could be here. He does staycations. He's a man about town. And sure enough, I was there for an unofficial reunion, like an off-year reunion. And so all of a sudden, I see Mike. And Mike was at the taco and tequila tasting.
Yep.
There were obviously some tequilas tasted. And I scream across the lounge, Mike Luke! He jumped. His lovely friend jumped as well. And I run over to him, and he's like, what are you doing? And the folk trying to focus. I'm like, it's an unofficial Sawara reunion. He thought I meant him and me, not the fact. And then he realized I had the name tag on. But I just thought it was funny that I think I scared you.
Yo, you terrified me.
Yeah, because you're not used to seeing an old fat guy screaming at you.
No,
maybe you are.
That's strong man.
So there we go. I just thought it was funny that we were at the same place, same time for completely different reasons. And Several people asked me about you and Kev at the reunion too. So
I very much appreciate that. Kev was in the chat on Friday talking about some of the backup players that he's heard good things about for the U of A.
So it's the same as how he did radio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just
A lot of
fibbing going on.
Your replacements have also done radio.
Yeah, it's pretty much. Yeah, except Kevin was entertaining.
Yeah, big fajita.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yep.
All right.
What is
on
that?
that note, though, everybody out there, we very, very much appreciate it. William Brad Ellis, you will be back next week. This is correct.
Yeah, but I'll probably have only seen the second half of that game. We got.
You don't have to say it.
We got baseball before that, so my very inexperienced team I am coaching will take the field for the first time.
Ben One White, you keep the ADHD in line. Without you, I don't know. It goes haywire. You will be here. This is correct.
Depending on how you treat me throughout the course of the week, yeah, absolutely, maybe.
Okay. All right. On that note, though, very much appreciate all of you. Toe Tree, putts buzz off. But on that note, though, very much appreciate you, all of you guys. William Brad Ellis, Ben One White, and the prodigious Kevin Thomas behind the scenes, St. Louis's finest. We will be back with you. Again, offense looked good, defensive line, but that doesn't mean that it can't get better. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.